Hello.
Hi.
So basically for this video project, I'm exploring the prison system through fermentation. I'm thinking a lot about ideas of control, confinement, what is lost in a prison environment, and how identities are shaped, as well as just the role that food plays in prison culture. Yeah, the central point of this video is the poem that I sent you by Jarvis Masters, and yeah, he talks about making prison wine, but he puts the recipe for prison Pruno alongside the reading of his death sentence. So I think that's a really interesting idea of life and death, because I see fermentation as a metaphor for life and for transformation.
My name is Jarvis Masters. I have been an inmate at San Quentin Institute for almost 30 years.
40 years.
Oh, shit. That's a long time, isn't it? Sometimes you just want to let that stuff go, right? I mean, you want to keep it low. You know, you want to, you don't want to, you know what it is. You just say something different all the time. I have been an inmate at San Quentin prison for almost 40 years. I hope you take time to listen to my story, and I hope you have the heart to recognize the unjust reality of capital punishment. How many guilty men have to be put to death to justify the execution of one innocent man?
I am really thinking about the idea of transformation. So metabolic transformations in fermentation, personal transformation in prison, and systemic transformations. Jarvis Masters is like a lot of his writing centers around his personal transformation, especially as a Buddhist. So I'm sure you hear a lot of stories similar to that, where people try to go through personal growth. But I don't know, I just think that's pretty fascinating. Like how that could even be possible. What transformations are possible within a prison system?
That's such an interesting question, because it reminds me a little bit about the argument when a lot of people say, oh no, we can reform the prison system instead of abolish it, because we can find ways to allow healing within the environment of prison. And it's so interesting because although like humans are so resilient and humans are able to like with what they have like create something, like even if they have nothing, even if they have like toilet water and scraps and just like chaotic thoughts and guilt and like they can still make something. But that is not an environment that really allows the most freedom and the most healing. So I think it allows people to perform their, I don't know, like almost like perform their traumas or perform what's going on within like inside of writing or conversation or like, perform their narrative, but it doesn't necessarily give the space and time for healing.
All I was learning from San Quentin is what not to do. I never felt like I was being inspired to learn what to do. I see guys yelling and screaming at guards, and I said, wow, this is what I look when I do that, I see guards, in a lot of pain and suffering, and I say, wow, this guard may be going home to his son. I would see violence, and I say, wow, how can I participate in compassion? What my whole trip is to find the gates that was just going to open me up to understanding what compassion and how compassionate works inside a prison system.
Well, there is still transformation within pain, and I think that that's so visible in like the art and the poetry and, you know, all the creations that people who are imprisoned, you know, like everything they do.
So my hooch has been cooking for 2 days now. Just the fruit, the oranges, and the fruit cocktail. Developing some really interesting colors down here. I don't know. It smells like a burst of fruit. Just a melted mango popsicle. The consistency of it is like scooping up the inside of a pumpkin when you're carving it for Halloween. It tastes like paper. It tastes like powder. Chalky. I think it's chalky. The aroma is quite fruitful, but on the palate, it tricks you.
This is very sad, but sometimes it feels like prison is almost a little experiment that the rich are doing. You know, like it's this experiment, and these certain people just like stuck in this space, almost to just sit there and ferment. With transformative justice, one specific practice that this is really based in indigenous practices, it's a circle process. So it's, you know, like sitting in a circle and like many times. So, you know, the time scale is different. You will get together and discuss like one conflict that maybe it took like 10 seconds for that conflict to occur, but you will chew on that for like hours and hours and days and days and days until your community like really understands like that healing process. So that's like the complete opposite of like prison. It's so ultimately like different, like the polar opposite to like transformative justice, where you're not gonna like have a specific time limit. You're gonna wait until the people are like healed, or where they feel like they're on their healing journey. I don't know if that has any like relation to like what you're talking about. Like maybe if you try to, you know, like are there specific like time limits that you like ferment things, or are you waiting for that? Like, are you watching the everything getting together and fermenting and mixing, and I don't know what is
Yeah, so it's such a natural process that you can't. Sometimes there are guidelines. Like I said, I waited for my ferment for 72 hours, but it's not exact. You know, it never is, especially in winemaking. A good winemaker isn't going by any sort of real time. They're checking in on the ferment every single day, and they're tracking their progress. They're seeing what new developments have occurred within the past 24 hours. A ferment is done by a good winemaker by taste, not even by the number. So it's not necessarily that they're looking to tick off a box. Like, okay, when the the alcohol level is 13.5%, or when the temperature is 26 degrees, then we're stopping the ferment. No, it's really by taste. So it's more of that real deep connection between the human and the ferment.
Wow. So if only justice was like that, you know?
If only justice was like that. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Because of like what you were saying with how like the process of like waiting for, you know, how a good winemaker will really like watch and like wait for it to be ready, and not just like have these specific times and like all this structure. Like it really has to do with like person-centered or like ingredient-centered. It's almost like for the poem, it was the poem by Jarvis Masters, like with bringing it back to that poem, it's like, it's almost like he was trying really hard to create that sense of justice. This is like transformative justice, you know, like this is a way for him to like get control. He was able to wait for it to like, when is this ready? Like in his opinion, he's, you know, he's not like giving it structure, like locking it up in prison, you know, so there are a lot of really interesting parallels.
You know, life in relationship to death, you know, it was where I was, you know. I wasn't there because of my trial. I was there, I realized that name because of my whole life history.
We're trying to imagine what it would look like to replace prisons and how that would actually tangibly be done. Basically, transformation and can look different to every person, but really, in essence, it involves being person-centered and treating each flower's needs as like on its own, and, you know, asking the flower, kind of seeing like, what does this flower need? What do we need to make this environment thrive? And like kind of involving the community and involving the roots, and like letting, you know, like understanding that the you know, you just need to add a little more like biodiversity.
Very boozy. But there's also a very strong nail polish you smell, which I think will be volatile acidity. The VA is so strong. It's so strong it masks all the other aromas. It's definitely lost that strong fruity bomb. It's super acidic. It's a bit grapefruity. Overall, it's not too bad, honestly. Once you have a cup, the next one would go down so well.
The California State Prison, San Quentin, California.
So I just thank everybody who's listening, and I definitely would like to say to everybody to, you know, stay safe, you know, because, you know, we all need to be safe right now. God have mercy on your soul.